Annual enrollment is the most important time of the year for people to think about their financial needs and how benefits can help protect their income from the planned or unexpected life events. Meredith Ryan Reed is a senior vice president of MetLife's Distribution Development and Benefits Delivery Organization. So Meredith, we hear about it spoken about so often. Why is it so important for people to have this education about what benefits they can get?
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for having me on to talk about it. I have a lot of passion about this topic. I think it's really important for people this time of year particularly because many employers are having their annual enrollment in October and November. This is the one time of year that people can really understand what's available to them through work and make sure that they're updating anything that has changed in their life, understanding what might have changed in terms of their benefits that they're being offered, and really understanding that these decisions are really important. And if you can just take 1 hour every year to review all this information and make the right choices for yourself and your family, it's really important.
So what resources are out there to help people navigate this sometimes confusing world?
Sure. So I think there's more than ever, and employers have done a fantastic job of investing in all sorts of communication tools to help people understand what's available to them. So I think we're all familiar with the benefits handbook that we get and have gotten in the past, but now there are traditionally, there's been a whole bunch of other tools that have come online. So think about what you have through your intranet site at work. A lot of employers are using social media to get information out there. MetLife has formed a new microsite, and it's called metlife.com/conversations. And what we learned through our research was that it was really important for people to see people like them talk about some of these products and coverages so that it was really relevant to them. And one of the most important things you can do is talk to someone you love or you trust, a coworker, a friend, a family member, to understand things that have happened in their life and how some of these insurance coverages helped them out in a really tough time. And we thought that showcasing real people having these conversations was a really important part of the evolution to get that awareness out there.
Meredith, at enrollment time, what are people most likely to overlook?
I think people are most likely to overlook changes in their own life. So thinking about, your own situation. Did you move? Did you have another child? Are you planning for college? What is happening and in your own life, and how can you take advantage of that? Many employers offer not only medical insurance and life and disability, but they also offer legal plans and supplemental health products, as well as discounts on auto insurance. All of us have to buy car insurance. You might as well try to take advantage of the discount available to you through your company. So those are the sort of things that you shouldn't skip over, because you can save hundreds of dollars. And I think it's something that people don't always realize.
Are there any quick tips that you have for our viewers to choose the right benefits and really meet their financial needs?
Take advantage of everything your employer is offering you. So whether that's a phone number you can call, a person in the human resources department you can talk to. There's a lot of online decision support tools. Obviously, check out the metlife.com/conversations website to really educate yourself. We also have something called a Make Your Match tool that really helps you to run through some of the options, personalize, the coverage to your own needs, and understand, what's available to you. So those would be my top tips for this year.
All right. Thanks so much, Meredith.
Thank you.
And of course, a special thanks to MetLife for sponsoring this segment.